Greetings, rack friends. Today we're talking power amps. 1U EL84 20-watt power amps. Lately there's some talk about 1U 20-watt or low-watt power amps that are tube, and I think it'd be a good time to compare a couple of classic ones, really popular ones that get talked about a lot in the forums. I happen to be lucky to have both of them. I pulled them from the rack. They are right here next to me. Basically, Marshall EL84 2020 and the Mesa 2020 Dyna-Watt EL84. Both use EL84 power tubes. Both are stereo. Both are 1U. And this is probably as good of a head-to-head low tube you can get. I'm trying to think if there's any other 1U low watt power amps. Synergy is 50-50. I think the LX2 from Bryant's also 50 watts, 606s. I think this is the only two. So we're gonna go put these two together, talk about the features. That way you guys out there that are searching for these know what to expect, and then do some clips through it and see if they sound any different. All right, so let's talk about the features that you get with these two power amps. On the Marshall, you get one master and one presence for both channels, and then you've got a standby and you've got an on-off switch. On the front panel of the Mesa, you have independent master volumes for each channel. I guess independent channel volumes, and then you've got an independent presence for each channel, and then you've got your on-off switch. So you can see right away, the Marshall's got an odd configuration. Most power amps actually give you a volume for each channel independently. On the Marshall here, it is one that controls both. So you can't really dial one up and dial one down. If you're playing mostly mono like me, you're not plugging anything into the second channel's input, or I'm going to show you in a minute, you're putting a dummy load in one of the channels, and that way if there's any type of craziness happens, you're not damaging an output transformer. On the flip side, if you have the Mesa, you can just turn that volume all the way down, and yeah, nothing's going to happen anyway. So it's a weird quirk. It's kind of unique, but if you can live with that, it's a great power amp. Let's take a look at the back. All right, so let's talk about the controls in the back. So we'll go with Marshall first. Marshall's got power cable connection, and then you've got left and right channels. So left and right channel, there's one jack for an 8-ohm cabinet, there's one jack for a 16-ohm cabinet on each channel, and then there's a line out, so if you wanted to slave into another power amp, you can do that. So it's kind of cool. You got that. But note, 8-ohm, 16-ohm loads, no 4-ohm load. And then you got a foot switch. I have no idea what the foot switch is for. I'm going to have to look that up. I'm not going to use it. I have no idea. And it's not like you're channel switching. And then you've got your two inputs for left and right channel on the very far edge. Down to the Mesa. Mesa has kind of compacted everything down here in the corner. You've got your A and B input for your A and B channels. You've got your channel outputs, and you've got one 8-ohm and two 4-ohm outputs for each channel. So that's one 8-ohm cabinet and two 4-ohm cabinets if you go that route. So it's a little bit different. You get a 16-ohm load for the Marshall. You go down to 4-ohm load for the Mesa. The only thing you can put an 8-ohm load or 8-ohm output into a 16-ohm cabinet, it still works. As long as your power amp is as a lower ohm setting than your cabinet, you're fine. You just can't go the other way around. So, in that respect, I guess your Marshall is kind of limited. You can't use a 4-ohm load in your Marshall. 8 or 16, and that's it. So back to the Mesa, just finish it off. The last two you got there are your basically your line outs or your slaves, so you can go into another power amp. So they both have that feature going for you, and they're both independent. So I would say the main difference on the back panel is 4-ohm load for Mesa, 16-ohm load for the Marshall. All right, so here's the inside of your Marshall 2020, which ironically has Mesa EL84 tubes in it. I bought this used. I didn't put those in. So this is kind of funny. But it sounds good, and I'm not going to change that. So you got your big toroid transformer, which I'm going to assume is your power transformer. You got these two other transformers that are probably your output transformers, one for each channel. All right, so this is the inside of the Mesa 2020, which, kind of funny, I've got Mesa tubes in my Marshall, and I've got JJs in my Mesa, which really, one of these days I'll have to swap the tubes, but the Mesa's in this guy and see if it makes a difference. But similar topology. So on a Marshall, you get a toroidal transformer, which is supposed to be lower noise. You've got the traditional style, I or H style transformer in this one. So the Mesa's doing that. You got independent output transformers. You can see those on the bottom right. And then kind of a similar layout. I mean, in terms of circuit boards, caps, and all that good stuff. Again, neat thing about the Mesa is you can get to the tubes without having to open it up. Whereas the Marshall, you gotta go and crack the case open and get to that. But also, look, check it out. There's a little fan. That's one thing also is missing on the Marshall is no fan. So there's a little fan right here that's, I guess, making air move inside. Yeah, I guess to keep the transformers cool. I don't know. And then on the other side of it, you've got the tubes are actually out in the open, so they can dissipate heat out the back. Whereas, again, Marshall's inside of a sealed cabinet. All right, one thing before we completely fire up the rack again is talk about load resistors. I'm a little paranoid, so that's why I made them. But Mesa, I'm not too worried because you got a master volume in each channel, so you can actually crank down the channel you're not using if you're playing in mono, which is most of what I do. Marshall, you know that option. You've got one master volume for both channels, and that's it. So they're both going to be pretty much firing at the same rate, no matter where you have signal there or not. So just an abundance of caution, I made some load resistors. So these are two examples here. So what I did is I took two 8-ohm resistors, wired them in series to make 16. These are actually pretty cool. It's just to allow them to dissipate more heat. And then I'll show you the other version I did. So here's another version I did. Still, two 8-ohm resistors, wired up in series, and then 1/4-inch jack, piece of cable. Again, just to get them away from the rack here. All right, so to start off, I'm going to use the middle synergy module. It's a Morgan AC. Let's get some chime going, some kind of light breakup, and see how this sounds. We're going to start off with the Marshall 20. All right, now we're going to go over to the Mesa. All right, so for this riff, I'm gonna go a little higher gain. This one I chose Salvation Audio's Band, which is basically a hot rodded Marshall or something in the Marshall category. And to start off, we'll go with the Marshall 2020. And you can tell the rack's still in work, got a little bit of buzz going, but hopefully it's not too bad. Mesa time. Alright, so I'm going to play some clean stuff for you, and I'm going to play through the TD Igniter M4 TD module. One thing I want to show you real quick though is the presence and how much of a sweep you get with each of them, because I think it's a little more dramatic on the Marshall than it is on the Mesa, but I'll let you guys be the judge of that one. So we're right now on the Marshall in the TD module, and here we go. So let's go minimum presence and see what that does. And I'll ramp it up. Now let's hear the Mesa. So that's minimum. See, not a huge dramatic change. Most of the change happens on the Marshall. But I want you to see that because that is a big difference between these two units, should you want to choose either one of these two. And then back to the Marshall. And there you have it. See things we learned today. Showed you a quick tour of both Marshall EL84 2020. Showed you a quick tour of the Mesa 2020 Dyna-Watt EL84. Both 1U, both great power amps in their own right. I actually like the Marshall a little bit more. I think it's a little bit warmer. The bigger sweep on the presence control, actually, I like a little bit more too. Other than that, though, I find the one master volume kind of annoying, but you know, I can live with that. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like and subscribe, and got a teaser for you actually. just scored a Synergy 50/50. So behind me is a Fryed LX II or LX2. I'll have both. I will play both, I'll crack them both open, and you guys get to see the differences between those two too. So, stay tuned. Thank you for watching.